We are recording. Wow. Took me a little bit to get all this set up today, but hope you guys are having a great day so far. Today I'm going to dive into 10 food swaps that I feel like completely changed my life or completely changed my fat loss results. Now, before I dive into that, just really quickly, if you aren't aware, if you haven't jumped in on this, remember that we still have the iThrive Collective open for enrollment, which is my kind of group style coaching membership, where there's workouts in there, there's recipe ideas, there's challenges in there every single month. There's people interacting, a community of women all looking to achieve the same thing. We have almost 100 women in this community right now, which is really incredible, all trying to, lose body fat, feel better in their own skin, gain more energy, feel stronger, all helping to support each other. So if you're interested in joining something like that, I would highly recommend jumping on it within the next week because we are going to be starting our brand new challenge in August. More details on this specific challenge in the next few days. Probably by the end of the week, I will be announcing details, and you will be able to get into the group at a discounted low price for joining right before our new challenge starts. So I highly recommend being on the lookout for that. Let me know, comment below if you want details on that, of just what's included and also how to sign up. So wanted to just touch on that first, but let's go into today's topic. Like I said, this one's not going to necessarily be sciencey. This one's not going to necessarily be motivational. This is going to be just straight up tactics, handing to you, okay, what food swaps you could potentially make to make fat loss so much easier in your life. And these are food swaps that I have made over the past 10 years along my fitness journey, my weight loss journey, fat loss journey, that have just literally transformed the way I view food and my enjoyment of food and my enjoyment of making progress and keeping progress. So let's just dive into these, right? Number one food swap that I've made or that you can make that can make your fat loss life so much easier is switching out regular maple syrup whenever you have maple syrup for sugar free. I know you might hear this and you might think, oh, that sounds disgusting. That doesn't sound like it tastes good at all. It's definitely different. The texture is a little bit different, but I feel just so much better when I have sugar-free syrup versus regular, honestly. Like when I have regular, I really feel that like sugar high and then that crash afterwards. And I just don't feel as good. Um, it's just something I always notice every time my wife and I, when we end up going on vacation, because I'm so used to whenever I have pancakes or anything like that, having sugar free syrup. But then when I order pancakes, for breakfast, if we go somewhere else, they usually don't have sugar free, or maybe they do, but I just typically don't ask for it. I probably should honestly ask for it, and they might have it, but a lot of places don't. But when I have that regular syrup, I just really feel it. I can really taste the difference, but not only taste it, but I can definitely feel the difference in how much of a crash I experience. Like I can almost like feel my blood sugar rising really high and then crashing afterwards. But not only that, not only how I feel with like the spike in my blood sugar and the crash, the amount of regular or sugar-free syrup that you can have for the same amount of calories as regular syrup, like this the portion size, is just absolutely ridiculous. So here's some numbers for you. And I'm going to go over numbers on all these things too, just to really paint a picture. Regular syrup for a fourth of a cup, which is technically a serving size on the food label, is 220 calories. So just a small fourth of a cup of syrup. And when you're probably eating syrup or eating syrup with pancakes, you're probably putting more than a fourth of a cup on there. Let's be real. 220 calories versus if you use a fourth of a cup of sugar-free syrup, it is 15 calories. 15. Fifth, like mind blowing. Less than 10 times the amount of calories for the same like amount of actual syrup. So you could literally have 10 to 15 times the portion size. You could have what is a fourth of a cup times 10. Trying to do math inside my head. It's like 2.5, almost 3 cups if you were to calculate it out exactly, like calorie per calorie. You would be able to have almost like 3 cups around there of sugar-free syrup for the same amount of calories as a fourth of a cup of regular syrup. Now, I know you might be thinking, oh, it doesn't taste the same. It's not going to taste as good. You might have to kind of get used to the difference in taste. I feel it tastes a little like less thick texture wise, and my wife thinks it tastes a little bit more sour-ish, but in my opinion, you get used to it. And I've gotten used to it, and I actually prefer the taste of sugar-free syrup more than regular syrup now. And knowing that I can have the same portion size for 10 times less the amount of calories, it makes, even if I did like the taste of sugar-free more, or sugared regular maple syrup more, it clearly justifies, in my opinion, sacrificing a little bit of taste to be able to have that much bigger of a portion size of it. Like, to be real, when I track my food, I don't even like weigh out or measure my sugar-free syrup. Like, I just put it on my pancakes and put 1 or 2 servings because, like, am I gonna have more than half a cup of syrup? Probably not. Am I gonna have more than 3/4 of a cup of syrup with my pancakes? Now that's a lot of syrup, like with sugar free. So even if I do have 3/4 of a cup, but I log it as 1/4 of a cup, it's only going to be a difference in 50 calories for that meal, which is very minimal when it comes to like me potentially having 3 times the amount that I think. So this is one food swap I highly, highly, highly recommend. If you're somebody who eats pancakes even semi regularly, even if it's like once a week or something, swap that out for sugar free, and it's going to make a big difference. Next food item is swapping out regular ice cream for either yogurt. I love the Oikos Triple Zero Vanilla Greek Yogurt. I know they have, I think, like a pro version of the Greek yogurt too, and they have different flavors in that too that they've come out with. But I don't know if I've ever had the flavored version of the pro yet. But the Oikos Triple Zero Vanilla Greek Yogurt is so good. I even love like their other flavors, like they have wild berry, I think strawberry too. Um, so good. And really helps to satisfy that sweet tooth too, with like you still getting in a good amount of protein and really not that high in calories with. And something else you could swap regular ice cream out with now that the Ninja Creamy is out there and super popular, which I literally have high protein ice cream almost every single morning for breakfast. My wife's like, "Oh my god, you eat ice cream every day for breakfast?" Yeah, I mean, it's essentially the way I make it, the recipe I use. And let me know, send me a DM if you want that recipe, by the way, because I'm not like trying to hide it or anything. Um, I found it on TikTok, by the way, but that high protein ice cream recipe from the Ninja Creamy is basically like a protein shake. And I always have 100 grams of blueberries and 100 grams of blackberries with it for my breakfast. So I'm essentially having a bunch of fruit and a protein shake for breakfast and then getting started with work. But I have that every single morning. But this has been a huge hack for me, even before I had the Ninja Creamy, swapping regular ice cream out for yogurt, especially the Oikos Triple Zero, because around 450 calories of regular ice cream is going to be about 10 grams of protein. Now, if you have 450 calories of Oikos Triple Zero yogurt, you're going to get around like 50 to 60 grams of protein for that. So you're going to get like 5 to 6 times the amount of protein for the same amount of calories. And you're still going to be tasting something sweet. And you can even add like some fruit into that yogurt. You can even add chocolate chips if you want to. But even just replacing the yogurt instead of having the ice cream is going to really rack up the protein content, which obviously is really good for body composition, helping you to stay fuller longer too. But even the Ninja Creamy high protein ice cream, the one that I make, it comes out to about 500 calories and around 55 grams of protein. And I even add edible cookie dough to mine. And I could take that out and it would still taste almost just as good. And it would be about 400 calories for around 55 grams of protein. So to be able to swap out like something like regular ice cream for that, and while the yogurt obviously doesn't taste the exact same as ice cream, it's still pretty damn good. In my head, knowing that I'm eating something that is supporting my goals, eating something that is going to help me repair my muscle, it's going to help me recover, help me build muscle, it's going to help me to feel fuller longer, and all of that. It helps to I just feel good about that, like little bit of a trade off and maybe taste that you're maybe having. But honestly, the Ninja Creamy protein ice cream I make, it tastes like just like regular ice cream almost, in my opinion. Like my wife, she actually suggested getting ice cream this past weekend, and I was like, why? Why would we go and get ice cream? For one, pay extra for it. But why would I go and eat regular ice cream when I can eat my Ninja Creamy high protein ice cream? And it seriously, I'm not even joking. It tastes like it doesn't even taste like it's high protein. And I'm like, why would I eat something that tastes pretty much the same, but it's going to be way higher in calories, way lower in protein, way higher in fat, way less filling for me versus having something that like helps me to hit my protein goal, same amount of calories, more filling, lower fat. Like it's a no-brainer. So that has been another one too, swapping those things out. Third food is, or I guess this is a drink, but swapping regular Coke for Diet or Coke Zero. Growing up, I used to drink pop or Coke a lot. It's really embarrassing, honestly. There are old videos or photos that I found of myself in like middle school, and there are a bunch of cans of Coke that are like stacked up on my TV in my room or stacked up on my nightstand. I should have thrown them away. Kind of embarrassed about that, but it is what it is. I was young, dumb, but each can of Coke is going to be around 160 calories, somewhere around there. But you can have something that tastes very, very similar. While there's a slight difference in taste, tastes very similar for 0 calories. So, like, you could have 1 or 2 Diet Cokes a day and have 0 calories, or have 1 to 2 regular Cokes and have 160 to maybe 320 calories. And not to mention, the health effects of drinking regular Coke with that spike in blood sugar you probably feel, that crash in blood sugar, very similar to like the sugar free and regular syrup sugar example I gave. Like, I love the taste of Diet Coke and Coke Zero way more than I do regular Coke. Like, I don't even really enjoy drinking regular Coke much, because I feel like I really just, it feels too thick. I like can like almost feel like can really taste the sugar in there, and then I can really feel that crash afterwards. But when I drink a Diet Coke or a Coke Zero, I don't feel that, and it feels like a little bit more refreshing, in my opinion, honestly. Um, so that's another one. Also, too, substituting, like, when I do drink sometimes, which isn't very often, maybe like I have like 1, maybe 2 drinks a month. Um, a lot of times I get rum and Cokes, but a lot of times I love to order a rum with a Diet Coke or a rum with a Coke Zero, and that also helps bring those calories down too. So food number 4, food swap, is substituting regular candy bars for just more like chocolate protein bars. Even if they aren't the highest protein of protein bars, swapping that out for like a Hershey candy bar is probably going to make you feel a little bit more full. It's probably going to have at least a little bit more fiber in there. It's going to have a little bit more protein. You're going to feel a little bit more satisfied from that protein bar versus the candy bar, and probably going to deal with less of those like spikes in blood sugar again and those huge crashes that you get when you eat those really high sugar things. So you're probably going to have a little bit more sustained energy from that. But like just an examples too, even if it was like a really high protein bar, a Hershey candy bar is around, I think, 220 calories, and you're going to get around 3 grams of protein from that, just 3. Whereas you could have one of those one protein bars. That's the brand is called One Bars, I think. Those are one brand that I do really like. I hate Quest bars, by the way. I think they taste like chalk. But the One Bars, in my opinion, are really good. And those are about 200 calories worth, around 220, but you get 20 grams of protein. So you're getting like 7 times the amount of protein in there versus if you just have a candy bar. And while it doesn't taste the exact same, like, it's a really good trade-off to get used to making. And that way it just overall sets your baseline of your diet to just overall be higher protein all the time, which when we eat higher protein, we tend to feel more full, more satisfied. We don't have those huge crashes in energy. Protein is less likely to be stored as fat too versus the other macronutrients. So it overall really helps. And also too, maybe I'll save this for the end. Another swap that I love to make is swapping regular pancakes for protein pancakes. I usually make the Kodiak cake protein pancakes, but I know there are recipes on there that are probably pretty simple that you can make your own protein pancakes with, like protein powder you buy from some of these companies and mix it with water, maybe something else. I haven't tried it like that. I just do Kodiak cakes because it's just more simple to me. But swapping those out for regular pancakes, like regular pancakes, if you have 320 calories worth, you're probably going to get around 7 grams of protein. So 300 calories of regular pancakes, 7 grams of protein, versus if you have Kodiak cake pancakes, you're going to get 24 grams of protein for those 300 calories. And Kodiak cake protein pancakes have more fiber in them too. So you're probably going to feel a little bit more full. That's a huge difference. You're getting 3 times the amount of protein for the same amount of calories, which can really help you to hit your protein goal. But not only that, like I said, the higher the protein, higher fiber, even, the more full you're going to feel. Pair that, the high protein pancakes, the Kodiak cakes, with sugar-free syrup. Compare that to having regular pancakes with regular syrup, and it is night and day, right? Like, I mean, adding these numbers up that I kind of already told you, if you have 300 calories worth of regular pancakes, plus you have a fourth of a cup of regular syrup, that's 520 calories, I think, if I'm doing the math right, 520 calories for probably around 7 grams of protein. Versus with the Kodiak cakes, you can have 300 calories worth of that, plus one serving, a fourth of a cup of sugar-free syrup. And that's going to be 315 calories. So 200 calories less for 24 grams of protein, for 3 times the amount of protein. Like, it's a super easy trade-off to make, and it still helps to kind of satisfy that craving for pancakes. So that's another one that I really like. I don't even know what number we're on, so we're just going to go to the next one. Next one is substituting ground beef that is not very lean, so the lower percentage ground beef that you see at the grocery store, for higher percentage, which is either 90% or 93. You can even find sometimes 96% lean. And what that means is you probably have seen like 80% lean ground beef, 85% lean, 90% lean, 93% lean. It basically means what percentage of the weight is either water or protein. So, like, if something is 80% lean, that means 20% of the weight of that meat is fat. And fat contains more calories per gram. So, the higher the amount of weight that a food, especially like beef in this example, has of fat, the higher amount of calories it is going to have per serving, because that weight of that fat has more calories versus if that weight is coming from either water or protein. So if you see ground beef at the store, like 80% lean, 85% lean, don't buy that. Especially, I think there's like 70 something percent, even. Definitely don't buy that. Buy either 90% or above. So for example, like 80% lean ground beef for 250 calories worth. No, for 4 ounces of 80% ground beef, that is going to be 250 calories. And you're going to get around like 20-ish grams of protein in that. But if you buy 93% lean, that is only going to be 170 calories worth for roughly the same amount of protein, around 20 grams. So you're getting the same amount of protein, the same weight of food, but it's going to be 80 calories less if you get the leaner version. So the one that has the higher percentage of that number of, leanness. So that is a huge swap, especially if you're used to like making burgers a lot, especially at home. Like, you could have, a burger, or let's say 2 burgers, because I like to eat 2 burgers. Let's say you have 2 burgers. So you have 8 ounces total of beef. That's going to be 80 calories for each of those burgers if they're both 4 ounces. 80 calories each that you're having extra with the 80% lean, versus if you were to get the 93% lean, you could save 80 calories each. So you could save 160 calories total in that meal. And, you add that up between 3 meals a day by making these types of food swaps. And what 160 times 3 is 480 calories that you could reduce your intake by, which is like the amount that you'd maybe want to decrease to lose about a pound of fat per week, which is like a sustainable pace of fat loss. So even just making something like a swap like that equivalent for each meal could lead to you losing around a pound of fat each week, which is a great pace. So that is the other one. Next one is substituting deep fried French fries for air fried French fries, and making French fries yourself by simply just cutting up potatoes in like the French fry shape, putting some seasoning or salt on it, putting in the air fryer, or even putting in the oven too. You can do that as well. But that is so much, like, I'm just going to use the word healthier, but you can really keep the calories lower in that. Growing up, I used to eat deep fried French fries all the time. And there's really not even any telling of like how many calories deep fried French fries are because the oil gets like really soaked into all the French fries, and it's impossible to know like how much oil is getting soaked into that. But it's a lot more calories versus if you just have air fryer, spray the air fryer like the container, maybe toss it in like 1 tablespoon of olive oil, maybe 2 tablespoons of olive oil at the most, and put that in there. Like you can control how much oil is actually in there and mixed together, and you could put a small amount and they still taste really good. And this is where potatoes get a bad rap too. Like potatoes are great. Potatoes have a lot of potassium, have a lot of vitamins and minerals, have some fiber in them, good sources of carbs that actually are very filling if you're not loading them up with oil and stuff, and like baked potatoes if you're not loading them up with sour cream and all this kind of stuff. They are very filling for the amount of calories and the volume that you get for potatoes. They're a really underrated form of carbohydrates, even for fat loss, but just overall diet too. But you can make a big difference in how healthy it is and how low calorie it can be by just chopping up your own French fries, mixing them in like a tablespoon of olive oil, putting them in the air fryer, and also it's super easy too. So that is another swap: air fried or oven baked French fries instead of deep fried ones. And it's probably best to make your own too versus buying the frozen bags. You can, but the frozen bags a lot of times do have some oil kind of like in there already, or they have some kind of like a little bit of breading uh, in there, which obviously makes them taste a little bit better potentially. But it's just one of those things where you're sacrificing a little bit of that like super saturated taste, knowing that it's going to be more filling and it's going to feel and be a little bit healthier for you. Other swap, which is kind of a new one over the past maybe like 6 months, is substituting regular chicken strips, so the regular frozen ones you'd buy at the store, for specifically this brand called Real Good chicken strips. So regular chicken strips is another thing I used to eat growing up all the time. You probably know from if you've listened to any of my podcasts for a long period of time, I did not grow up eating healthy at all. So like deep fried French fries, deep fried chicken strips, all that stuff I ate all the time growing up. But these chicken strips, the like regular frozen ones, you for a 210 calories worth of those, you'll get around 13 grams of protein, which isn't very much. 210 calories, 13 grams of protein. It's a little bit, but there is some extra fat and carbs from the breading and stuff in there. But these Real Good chicken strips are made with the breading made out of protein. I can't remember what kind of protein it is off the top of my head, but the breading is made out of protein. And then there's obviously chicken inside of there. So these Real Good chicken strips for 210 calories worth, keep in mind the regular chicken strips are 13 grams of protein for that amount of calories. The Real Good chicken strips for 210 calories are 37 grams of protein. Like that's almost three times the amount of protein for the same amount of calories. Like it's just stupid to not buy the Real Good. Now, obviously, they're more expensive. Anything that you buy, like a specialty item like that is higher in protein, is going to be more expensive. But that's a trade off I think most people are willing to make to be healthier, to lose weight, to not have to deal with future medical bills in the future from, having too much body fat on their frame or just poor eating habits, or just the countless amounts of money maybe you're spending on these fad diet programs because you're not seeing results. Like that'll make up for it. So that is a huge swap I've been making over the past 6 months where like I can enjoy chicken strips and like, and I hate using the word or phrase like not feel guilty about it because you should never feel guilty about your food choices, but you can eat the chicken strips knowing like, oh, these taste really good and they are helping to support my current goals. And maybe, like I said, they don't have the full saturation taste. They don't spike my dopamine as much as the regular greasy chicken strips that you get from like Cane's or something like that. But they're damn close. And knowing that I'm still like eating something that is helping me get to my goals more is reassuring and feels good. So that is another one. I think we're on number 9 now. So number 9 is swapping regular cheese for fat-free cheese. Now I don't do this completely. And I mean, like, a lot of times, like, shredded cheese, because that's typically how I eat cheese when I eat it with like eggs, or if I mix it in with like tacos or something like that. But I usually don't mix, like, substitute all of my regular cheese for fat free. But let's say if normally I would have like 50 grams of um, regular shredded cheddar cheese with my tacos, now I have maybe 15 or 20 grams of regular shredded cheese. And then I have around 30 to 35 grams of fat free cheddar cheese. And that can really help me to bring the calorie intake down of that cheese, of that meal. Also can help to increase the protein intake of that meal too. But I'm still eating like the same volume of cheese, and I feel like I'm not missing out on anything. And I'm still getting a little bit of the taste from that regular cheese too. Because, like, I didn't go over the numbers for this yet, but one serving, which is around 28 grams of regular shredded cheese, is 110 calories and around 8 grams of protein. But if you have the same amount of grams, 28 grams of fat free cheese, is going to be 45 calories. So less than half the amount of calories for 9 grams of protein. So you're going to get what, one extra gram of protein. Actually, no, I said this wrong. The regular cheese is 6 grams of protein. So you're going to get 3 extra grams of protein for less than half of the amount of calories. So you could double that and have 90 calories worth of fat free cheese and still be under the amount of calories you get for a serving of regular shredded cheddar cheese. But you're going to get 18 grams of protein, so 3 times the amount of protein. So basically, on a calorie per calorie basis, you're getting at least 3 times the amount of protein with fat free cheese versus regular shredded cheddar cheese. So that is a huge one. Like I said, I don't typically substitute all of my regular cheese for that, because fat free cheese doesn't have like a ton of taste to it. So I like to sprinkle a little bit of regular, but making that shift of having all of your cheese be regular versus having maybe a fourth of it or half of it be regular and three-fourths or half of it be fat free can make a big difference. Number 10 now, we're on the last one, is substituting whole eggs for egg whites. Now, I don't do this necessarily completely substituting all of them, but if you're used to eating maybe 3 eggs at a time, have maybe one egg and then have, a few servings of egg whites to make up that extra volume, because egg whites don't have the egg yolk mixed in, and the egg yolk is where you get a lot of the fat, which, like I said before, fat does contain more calories per gram than protein or anything else. So it makes those eggs a little bit higher in calories. Now, there are a lot of benefits with egg yolks as far as the vitamins and minerals in there. So this is why I don't typically replace it entirely. But if I would have, let's say, 3 whole eggs, which is going to be about 210, 215 calories or so, that's going to be around like 19 grams of protein total. But if I have 210 calories worth of egg whites, that's going to be 45 grams of protein. So that's going to be over double the amount of protein by substituting that same calorie per calorie basis from whole eggs to egg whites. Now, like I said, there are some beneficial vitamins and minerals in whole eggs, so I don't typically replace all of them. But instead of having 3 or 4 whole eggs, I'll probably have 1 or 2 whole eggs. Usually 2 is what I go with. And then I'll have 2 or 3 servings of egg whites to make up those extra calories. So I'm still getting the benefit of a lot of those nutrients in the egg yolk, but I'm also getting the benefit of the lower calories in the egg whites, the higher protein in the egg whites, and the higher volume in the egg whites. So that can make a big difference too. And you add that on top of making those adjustments with the cheese. If you always eat your eggs, scrambled eggs with shredded cheese, that can make a big difference where, you could have 5 whole eggs or 4 whole eggs with 1 to 2 servings of shredded regular cheddar cheese. And that could be, let's say 600, 700 calories, maybe even 800. But you could have 1 or 2 whole eggs, have 2 to 3, maybe even 4 servings of egg whites, have maybe 1 serving of fat free cheese and 1 serving of regular. And that same meal, the same volume, can be maybe, let's say, 400 to 500 calories instead of 700 to 800. And that can make a huge difference. So these food swaps really can make a big difference in your fat loss, but even just overall your life. Like, these are swaps I try to make all the time. And it allows me to just eat a higher volume of food while still getting really high protein in my diet. feeling more full, satisfied, avoiding those like high sugar spikes and those then sugar crashes afterwards can make a big difference. I know some people, uh, some influencers have this mentality of like, no, I want to eat the real thing. Like if I'm gonna eat pancakes, I'm gonna eat real pancakes and not protein pancakes. Or if I'm gonna eat ice cream, I'm gonna eat the real thing. I'm like, that's fine. That can be your choice. But there's nothing wrong with making a slightly healthier alternative or an alternative that's a little bit higher in protein that fits your goals better. And it's okay to sacrifice a little bit of taste from it. Like if you have this rule where I can never eat regular pancakes, even if you're craving them, intensely over and over, then that's a problem. But if you're able to have these more, healthier alternatives that taste very similar, but they're lower calorie and higher in protein, if you're able to make those swaps and that satisfy you, then that's a great route to go. And it has made a huge difference in my fat loss journey, my fitness journey in general. So I think it'd make a big difference in yours. So hopefully this was helpful. Definitely share this with a friend, share it on your stories, tag someone you know in it if you think it'd be helpful. Like I said, we are starting a new challenge with the I Thrive Collective in August. So definitely make sure you message me if you want details on that or comment below so you can get in at the earliest price to get started on that challenge. Or if you're interested in joining one-on-one coaching, let me know and I can send you over the application to apply for that. So yeah, hopefully this is helpful. I'm done for today. See you guys in the next one.